First episode of Live with Liz. Chance for everybody in Texas 8 and really all over the country to get to know Elizabeth Hernandez running for office. So why don't we, Liz, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, tell everyone what office you're running for, and a little bit about yourself.
Alrighty. So thank you for joining us today. We are a little bit late. I do apologize. Since this is our first Live with Liz, we had some technical difficulties to sort out. So I am Elizabeth Hernandez. I am running for U.S. House of Representatives for Texas 8th District. My opponent is incumbent Kevin Brady, who has been in office for 23 and a half-ish years. At the end of this election, it will be 24 years.
All right. And so what made you decide to run for office?
Well, a lot of things. The current political climate that we are in, it's very obvious that we are ready for new representation in Texas 8. We're ready for somebody in office that cares about the people, about the issues of Texas 8. And one of the issues that kind of pushed me over the edge was the passing or implementation of Tax Cuts and Job Act in 2018, which was authored by Kevin Brady. Most people just know this as the tax cuts for the wealthy.
And why did that? Why did that sort of push you over the edge and get you to run for office?
Well, I was actually taking income tax accounting at Sam Houston State University in the fall of 2017. And I was actually having to learn the income tax code for the current and then the current term and then the one that was going to be implemented in January. And it was quite upsetting, being that my background is accounting. I was able to kind of see in the academic sense what was going on and, hearing from the GOP how these tax cuts were going to be great for the country and great for Americans and great for the working class. I knew that that was not really the case. It was more tax cuts for the wealthy, what I consider the corporations, the large donors that Brady is entangled with, and it was upsetting.
So, so tell everyone, what are some of the issues that matter most to you?
Well, there's a lot of issues, and there's some that I kind of take a little more personally. And so I'll talk about those first, not to say that they're more important than some others, but and healthcare is a great one because it matters to me personally, but it also matters to the people of District 8 personally as well. And, right now with COVID, the pandemic, a lot of people are in a situation with healthcare that they've never been in before. So obviously healthcare is I feel a necessary thing that everyone should have. It's a right. No parent should have to think about how am I going to pay for this doctor bill or this hospital bill when my child is sick. That's a terrible feeling, or the feeling of thinking, should I delay? Should I wait to see if my daughter or son will get better? Or is it just a cold, or has it turned into something more? And, I've actually been in that situation even recently, not having health insurance. My 5-year-old Lila came down with a staph infection in her hand. And it actually started with hand, foot, mouth disease. If you're a parent, you have probably gone through this a couple of times, depending on how many children you have. And this was actually Lila's first time with hand, foot, mouth. But the hand, foot, mouth turned into staph, and I knew something was wrong when her thumb was like severely swollen and red. And I had been wrapping her hand in a bandage because she kept picking at her hands, foot, mouth sores. And I was trying to keep her from doing that. And one day I had her unwrap it and I noticed the thumb. And I ended up going to the emergency room that night because I just knew something was not right. And I went to Texas Children's And we actually ultimately ended up leaving because we were there for several hours, and they basically told us that, they didn't know how long it was going to be. They were very busy. And a lot of people were telling me nobody was going in, nobody was coming out. And so I ended up following up with the pediatrician. I believe it was the next day. And fortunately, I was able to get in. And the doctor did confirm that she suspected it was, staph infection. And, she told me, if I'm going to prescribe her an antibiotic, and if she doesn't respond, we're going to probably have to admit her for IV antibiotics. And of course, my first thought was, oh boy, that's expensive. So I was really praying that the medicine that he chose to work was staph infection, and the doctor had chosen the case. But again, health insurance, we all are entitled to it, and quality health insurance. So prior to not having insurance, I have worked and always had health insurance through my employer. I've always made that a priority. When I was a child, I grew up in a large family. My dad was his own, employer. He did sheet metal roofing his whole life. And so he was a general contractor, and we didn't have health insurance through his job. And so when I had kids, get all the vaccinations and everything necessary that, I had. Okay, hold on, it's coming back. All right. Sorry, guys. So we lost connection for a minute. Um, and, if something happens, an emergency, and you have to go to the hospital, then you're trying to figure out how you're going to come up with $3,000. And again, it's an awful feeling. So health insurance is big to me, and I think that people need it and deserve it.
Am I connected, by the way? Can you hear me?
You are.
Okay, great. All right, so obviously healthcare is a big issue. Why don't you tell everyone what some of your ideas are for improving the healthcare system?
For improving the healthcare system?
Yes.
Well, first thing, we need to have a public option. Ultimately, I think we end up with, a Medicare for do overnight. That. And Obamacare was a step in the right direction, but it's not perfect. It needs improvement, a lot of improvement. So, having a public option for those that want it, and, ultimately we end up in that direction, eliminating those copays and high deductibles. Absolutely.
All right. Uh, so before we talk about other issues, let's talk about you a little bit more. Did you get kicked off?
All right, I think we're back.
Okay. Is there anybody on?
I'm reading. I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like somebody. Well, we did have some people, but they probably got kicked off whenever we got kicked off. Um, I will say, if y'all are on, if y'all have any questions, type them in the chat. meetings that start at 3. Planning going forward to be live from on right at 2 since our technical difficulties will be sorted out. And then we will also be live on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. for the late night crowd. So, can't, it looks like 2 people are watching.
Okay.
Say hi, type something in the chat if you.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, folks, with the first episode of Live with Liz. So, Liz, why don't you tell everyone a little bit more about your background? Where'd you grow up, your educational background, things of that sort?
All right, we are back. I don't know if this is our Wi-Fi or something else. Let me be in the scene right now. I apologize, guys. I'm showing. Is it? I think you're not connecting. If you can hear me at all. Let's see. I cannot hear you yet. I cannot see you. Phone's Wi-Fi. See if okay, you're back, but you're sideways. I don't know why. What is going on? Full strength? You're sideways. I don't. Can you turn your phone? I don't know what. Okay, there. Oh, I lost you. Okay, we try to figure this out. I'm back where we were, and I'm Sam Rayburn High School. Christy. So I graduated, and every time you're doing, know what? It's you're. I'm losing. Oh my gosh. Okay, yay! It's back on. So I graduated from Sam Rayburn, and I did not have any plans to go to college at the time. My parents had 5 children together. I'm the oldest girl of the 5, and then I have 3 younger sisters, and the youngest baby is my brother, Jonathan. I guess I should mention my other sister's names because that would not be very fair, would it? So my sister Stephanie is the one underneath me, my sister Priscilla, and then my sister Lauren, and then there's John. Of the 5, and you know, my dad worked in sheet metal, as I mentioned. My was a stay-at-home mom. She took care of us, raised us, and we didn't really have money to send me to college, so I didn't have plans to go to college. About a year after I graduated, I I lost my name. I was working a company, and man that cleaned out ships, North American Marine repair and cleaning. And um, I, so I worked in accounting, but manual type of accounting. He had paper ledgers, and I used to calculate payroll checks by hand. And we had this old um, check embosser, and it was I think about now how accounting is, and it's a little funny where we've been and where we've come. But anyway, so I worked for this man, and I used to have to work too much money. Um, and there was this little store, Dixie, that we go get lunch from. They had a little, I mean, he was a business owner, so of course he worked nonstop, but was a little odd. And, he struck up a conversation with me about my job. We had talked in passing before, and he said, you should come work for me. I think I remember asking him, well, what will I do? And he said, I'll find something for you to do. And so I ended up going to work there. I think it was the end of that year. So that would have been the end of 2001. And he kind of taught me everything I know, or not really everything I know now, but all the basics of accounting. I didn't have a lot of experience in accounting. I hadn't gone to school for accounting, but he kind of gave me a shot. He trained me, and it really set the foundation for the rest of my career. And towards my accounting degree for almost 20 years in different roles for different companies. And I love it. I've enjoyed it. I worked towards my degree because, at some point you can't really go any further without a degree. You kind of bottom out. And I was at that place. I've probably been at that place for a long time. I was very capable of doing a lot more, but unable to move forward without my degree. So I graduated from Sam Houston State University on August the 1st of this year. I was able to have a virtual ceremony due to the COVID situation, which was a little disappointing, but understandable considering, everything that we are going through right now. And, I can't even express the joy, and some of our viewers may have seen my video I shared about my educational journey. Um, but it was a huge step for me, thing for my children to see. My kids have made a huge sacrifice. They've had to deal with their mom working. When I hear exams and I had to do homework. Um, but I have worked in accounting for almost 20 years, so that is my background. I just now have that piece of paper proving that I know what I'm and we're back. So I'll continue to work towards that. I'm actually only 9 hours away from being eligible to sit for the CPA exam. You're required to have 150 hours because I do want to be able to say, you know what, I'm a congresswoman and I'm a CPA. I'm not just an accountant. I'm not just, graduated with an accounting degree. We actually have, and I'm not 100% sure if this has changed, 9 accountants in the House and 2, and I'm not or CPAs or just accountants as myself. And that was one of the other things. Why don't we have more accountants in Congress? And we need more accountants in Congress. We're now after COVID, $26 trillion in debt. So at the time when Trump went into office, we were $19 trillion in debt. And before COVID hit, we were up to 23 trillion in debt. We have been operating on a $1 trillion deficit every single year. Is due to the tax cuts amended of a background, but they, setting up our budgets and determining where the money is going. We are back, but I can't see Nassim. Man, I'm gonna try to connect to my Wi-Fi on my phone. I'm just gonna, if it does anything.
Am I on? Am I connected? Great. So any questions yet?
Alrighty. Guys, I am like so sorry. I don't know if it's the program we're using, if it's the Wi-Fi. I don't know what it is. You are not on. Oh, let's see, you're on, but you're sideways. We're gonna roll with it. You're just gonna stay sideways. So you were gonna say something before we got cut off.
Yes. So I understand your education. I can't believe I'm sideways. All right. So other than your education, what is it about your background that feels like that makes you feel like you are more qualified than Representative Brady to represent the folks of Texas 8?
That's an easy answer. So a few reasons. Obviously, my accounting background, gives me a unique set of eyes, one that Brady does not have. And number two, I care. Brady doesn't care. I understand, everyday struggles of what I call everyday Americans. Um, I can sympathize with those issues. And I don't know how you can truly, make certain things a priority and not really understand how somebody feels or what they go through when they're in that situation. I have been a single mother in the past. I haven't always had an easy life, and without, being, giving my whole sob story, um, I've definitely been through some adversity growing up, going through school, previous marriage, and, having been a single mom, having struggled, to get through school as a single mother and as a parent of three children, having to deal with not having great health care. My son, who is almost 12, also has a disability. And, that's a struggle in itself. Anybody, a parent that has a child with disabilities knows that is not an easy feat. And So I really understand those things, and I can take my experience and fight for those things. I'm also willing to listen to people. One thing I have made a priority is to be accessible to the people. I'm willing to talk to anybody. I try to respond to all emails, as many as I get, and it's been busy. Um, but we don't have a huge staff, and I've had some people say, that they were surprised that I emailed them back directly versus, a staffer. But I do read every email that we receive, even if I don't get a chance to respond. But I do try to respond to all of them. Um, I'm If I had to say one thing about me, I'm a very hard worker. I don't give up. Obviously, it taking me 19 years to graduate from college, it's very obvious I don't give up. When I set my mind to something that I'm going to do it, that's a promise I will keep. I don't like liars. I don't like letting people down. Um, and so I'm willing to fight. I will fight. Um, I want to hear from my constituents because I can relate to the issues I've been through, but there may be other things. I don't know everything, and I'm willing to learn. My motto in life is where there's a will, there's a way. It's I have said that for as long as I can remember, and it's true to my heart. It's 100% where I come from. And so, I may not be your typical career politician. I'm not a lawyer. I don't know what exactly is going to happen when I go to Congress. I don't know all the, ins and outs of that, but I will learn it. And when I put my mind to something, I give it 100% every time. So I'm here to learn from my constituents. I'm here to listen. I 100% believe we need to be working with the other side and listening because, if you constantly surround yourself by people that are just like you have no chance of growing. No, it's not good. You should always interact with the other side. It gives you a full view of everything. And I 100% believe that that's important. So, I'm going to make myself accessible to the Republicans, the Democrats, the independents, whomever. Willing to listen to all opinions and take everything into consideration. I cannot hear you. I don't know what's going on. Hold on, let me see if it's my. Nope, they're connecting. Try talking. Can you hear me? I cannot hear you at all. Well, I have lost you again. I will mention while Nassim is away and I can't hear him, our website is listed on this screen, lizfortexas8.com. You can go there and see more, of the issues that we've talked about, or that we talk about on our website, that we haven't got to today. There's obviously a lot of issues, but lizfortexas8.com, and we need your donations. It costs money to run a campaign. So the link for that is posted at the top as well. secure.actblue.com/donate/lizfortexas8.com. You can give $5, $10, $20, $100, $2,800. We appreciate it. We will be utilizing that to get our digital ads out. We are making literature drops across Texas 8 and trying to get the word out that the people of Texas 8 have an option. It's been very common for Kevin Brady to not be opposed, either by his Republican Party or by a Democrat. And so it would not surprise me if you ask somebody, did you know, Kevin Brady has a Democratic opponent, and people would probably say no. That wouldn't surprise me at all. So it's very important we spread the word to the people of Texas 8 that they do have a choice this election year, and I am that choice, Elizabeth Hernandez. All right, I think I can hear you now.
All right. And where can folks find you on social media?
So all of my social medias have the same lizfortexas8.com. It's the same extension on the website. We are on Instagram, we are on Twitter, we are on Facebook, and we are on YouTube.
All right. So if you are just joining us, welcome. This is the first episode of Live with Liz. This will be a show twice a week, discussing the ongoing issues as we run up to the election, which is now 42 days away. And early voting starts October 13th. Don't forget the deadline to register, October 5th, but do it sooner rather than later. And please, if you think you're registered, check your registration status. Do it soon, just to make.
You cut off.
Am I back?
Yep, you're back.
Okay. All right. And Liz, why don't you tell everyone the times of the shows, days of the week, and what time they will be?
So we're going to be on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. roughly, and Thursdays from 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Today we got on a little bit late because of our difficulties, and we seem to be still having some difficulties. But yes, we'll be on up till Election Day. So I'm looking at Facebook, and I'm not sure why, but these comments aren't coming through over here, but I can see them on Facebook. So I'm just going to read one real quick that I see. Somebody commented. Barbara Jordan had $700 in 1986. You don't need money to win. So I can't agree with that. I mean, we are running a pretty grassroots campaign. You don't need a lot of money to win. You don't need the money Kevin Brady has to win. And he does have a lot of money because he's got special interests and corporations that donate to his campaign, people that don't live in Texas 8, people that are interested in him for other reasons, tax cuts. But we do need some money. I mean, it costs money to print flyers that we have to hand out. It costs money to run digital ads. I will say we are 100% running this grassroots. We are not spending a lot of money, but we do need some money. So, I do not necessarily agree that we don't need any money, but you do need some. And we have received some donations, not millions like Brady, but we appreciate anything we get. Like I said, $5, $2,800, the max. But obviously, the more money that we can get, the more we can get our message out. Kevin Brady has the resources to hire teenagers to go put a flyer on every door in Texas 8. And, if we could do that, it'd be awesome, because right now what we're working against is my name recognition and letting people know that they have a choice. So any money that we do get is going towards that goal of letting the voters know that they have a choice in Texas 8. Let me see if
aside from donating, how else can people help out in the campaign?
So right now we are literature dropping. We are hitting every house in a precinct every day. I have time scheduled every day from 9 to 12, and there's an event section on Facebook where you can see there's an address posted on where we can meet. we need volunteers for those literature drops. We're just going to every single house, taping a flyer, and moving on to the next house. We're not worrying about whether they are Democrat, Republican. We're just hitting every house. So we move pretty quick, but the more people we have, the more houses we can connect with or get to. And it's really important for voters to see my name or hear about me more than one time, because when election day comes, we want them to remember Elizabeth Hernandez. So we need volunteers for the literature drops. We need some volunteers to help recruit some more volunteers. So phone banking for that. Sorry.
Well, if somebody wants to volunteer, how can they get a hold of
Email me at ehernandez@texas8.com. The website has my email listed at the very top. You can also go to the website, and I think there's a contact us form. You can also message me on Facebook Messenger, or call the campaign. And the phone number is on our website as well.
you? All right. So it looks like we have just a few minutes left. So why don't you tell everyone about a couple of other issues that are important to you and that you want to make some progress when you get to Congress. And so let's start with education. What are your plans to improve education to the extent that you can do so as a federal representative?
Yeah, education is a huge state issue, but there are some things, federally we can do. Um, Number one is going to be funding for our schools, from the federal government to our local schools. It's very important that we lower the student teacher ratios. Right now, we have too many students in a class. Our teachers are obviously not paid enough. And COVID has definitely brought to light the importance of our teachers. I mean, homeschooling your kids at home has been very difficult. I think parents have a true appreciation for teachers that they have never felt before. And me having my son with a disability and trying to educate him from home, special education teachers, I grovel at your feet. Um, I could not do it on my own, and he 100% needed to be in school, with a consistent structure and teachers that specialize in that and know how to help somebody with special needs. I know we don't have enough special education teachers in schools, so that is a must that we work on getting more teachers, possibly maybe providing incentives. I know there are incentives for teachers, such as maybe some student loan forgiveness. So maybe we look at that. I don't know the details on it or what the specifics are, but if we don't have some kind of incentives for special education teachers, there needs to be that. But having things like after school care with tutors that are on site that can help the kids with their homework. Parents, kids get out of school at 3 o'clock roughly, and parents are usually working until 5 or 6 p.m. And, they are having to deal with, okay, well, do I have to leave work and go pick up my child? And then obviously, depending on what age they are they old enough to stay home by themselves for 3 hours after school? But daycare is expensive. And, the last thing you want to do when you get home at 5 or 6 after picking up your child is, okay, we have to now work on homework. And I know kids have homework. And then we have to cook dinner, and then you have no time to spend any quality time with your kids. You want to be able to play a board game, watch a movie, go outside, run, swim, do something so you're not feeling like, you just get up, go to school, go to work, come home, eat, homework, go to sleep. And so having an after school program that is paid for our kids to get that, one-on-one attention with homework and help would be a huge benefit to working parents, and a huge benefit for the kids themselves, because when kids succeed, everybody succeeds in the long run. It starts with setting that foundation for our young children and allowing everybody to have an equal opportunity, an equal chance. I talked a little bit about my early on getting a job at WW Drilling and being given that chance. And I made a post about this yesterday. You can go back and read it if you're watching. But you shouldn't have to get lucky or be in the right place at the right time to be successful. And so I think that starts with educating our children, giving everybody a quality education at a young age, and moving into, after graduation, a free 2 years of free college so that everybody has an equal opportunity. I've mentioned before how you can't get very far without an education or a college education. And so we need to provide that. We need free lunches in schools for our young kids. We have too many children that go hungry, that the only lunch or breakfast they get that's of quality is when they are at school. And having a free lunch program is very important.
All right. Any other questions that came in?
I can't see any, but I may be missing them. But if there are other questions we're not getting to, I will make sure that I log on and go and answer them digitally, and reach out to whomever is making comments. I do apologize for so many technical difficulties we had today. I do look forward to seeing y'all again on Thursday at 8:30 p.m. I will try to get started on here a little bit before, and hopefully we won't have these technical issues that we've been having. I just am not sure where the technical issues are coming from. But thank you very much for getting on with us and spending an hour or a little bit less than an hour with us. And I will see you on Thursday.
All right. Yes. Tune in on Thursday, 8:30 p.m. and then Tuesdays, 2 p.m. Every show is going to be different. We'll be talking about different issues as they come up. Obviously, in this day and age, the news cycle moves very quickly. Things are happening every day. Yes, look very forward to seeing everybody on Thursday evening. And Liz, I'll let you close it out.
All right. Thank you so much.